The story of Saint Zita begins far from any grand or celebrated setting, in a quiet and almost invisible context, yet one that would carry a silent strength capable of lasting through the centuries. Born around the year 1212, in the small village of Monsagrate, near the city of Lucca, in Italy, Zita came from a poor family, deeply rooted in faith and humble work. From an early age, her life was shaped by necessity, discipline, and a practical spirituality lived through daily actions rather than public expression. Around the age of 12, she was sent to work as a domestic servant in the household of the Fetzinelli family, one of the most prominent families in Lucca. What appeared to be an ordinary path would gradually reveal an extraordinary depth. Before continuing, a simple invitation. If this kind of content strengthens your faith and brings reflection, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like so this message can reach more people. When Zita entered the household, where she would spend her entire life, she faced a demanding and often harsh environment. Her routine was exhausting, beginning before dawn and filled with continuous labor. There was little recognition, no privilege, and often criticism. Servants at the time were rarely treated with dignity, and Zita experienced this reality directly. Yet her response was not rebellion, but consistency. She chose to transform every task into an act of service offered to God. This decision required deep inner strength. Rather than allowing hardship to turn into bitterness, she developed discipline and interior silence. She woke even earlier to pray, attended Mass whenever possible, and maintained a calm presence regardless of external pressure. Her faith was not abstract. It was expressed through action, repetition, and intention. Over time, her attitude began to change the perception of those around her. The same people who once saw her as merely a servant began to recognize something different. Her patience, humility, and steadiness stood out. Gradually, trust replaced criticism, and Zita became a central and reliable figure within the household. However, what defined her most was not just her work, but her compassion for the poor. Even with limited resources, she consistently found ways to help those in need. She would discreetly set aside food and share it with the less fortunate. At times, this generosity created tension within the household, especially when it seemed she was giving away too much. One of the most well-known stories about Saint Zita describes a moment when she was questioned for carrying bread to the poor. When asked to show what she had, she opened her apron, and instead of bread, flowers appeared. This moment, often described as a miracle, symbolizes something deeper. How simple acts, when done with sincere intention, can take on extraordinary meaning. Despite such accounts, her life remained grounded in ordinary responsibilities. She did not leave her position, seek recognition, or pursue a different social path. She remained where she was, doing the same tasks every day. What made her life remarkable was not the nature of her work, but the way she lived it. As the years passed, her influence extended beyond the household. People from the city sought her advice and prayers. Still, she remained humble and consistent, never placing herself above others. Her credibility came from the alignment between her beliefs and her actions. When she died on April 27, 1278, she was already recognized for her holiness. Her life was not remembered as ordinary, but as deeply meaningful. Over time, devotion to her spread, especially among domestic workers, who saw in her a reflection of their own reality. Saint Zita was later canonized and became known as the patron saint of domestic workers, but her message reaches far beyond that role. Her life raises a fundamental question. Is it possible to live with purpose and meaning, even in simple, unnoticed tasks? Her answer is clear. The value of a life is not defined by status, but by intention and consistency. In a world driven by visibility and recognition, her story offers a direct contrast. She did not seek power, attention, or influence, yet her impact endured for centuries. This suggests a different kind of greatness, one rooted in coherence rather than applause. Her story remains relevant because it speaks to a universal human experience, the search for meaning. And her answer is simple, but demanding. Meaning is not always found by changing circumstances, but by transforming how one lives within them. If this story brought you a new perspective, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like so this message can reach even more people.